Hey everyone, and welcome back to the W Show. My name's Michelle, this is Jennie, and we saw 4 days of great WNBA basketball. Just a side note, we are recording on Tuesday before Indiana and Atlanta tips, but then this video is going to be released on Thursday. So we're going to jump right into it with our first segment called The Coach's Note. Jennie?
Yeah, we want to go over some of the highlights from this weekend, starting with Nafisa Collier hitting a record 34 points on opening night and immediately losing that record to Kelsey Plum with the LA Sparks recording 37 points. Asia Wilson recorded her 100th career double-double against the Liberty, unfortunately in a loss, but she still was beast mode in that game. DeWanna Bonner has hit the third most points in the all-time scoring list. So the question is, will she catch Tina Charles, who's starring for the Connecticut Sun this season? Caitlin Clark tied Candace Parker for the most triple doubles all time, which is pretty wild. So we're going to be paying attention to that all season. And then Paige Beckers joined Candace Parker and Sabrina Ionescu as the only rookies to put up 20 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds.
And a couple just notable injuries that we want to point out that could impact upcoming days. So Kalia Copper's out 4 to 6 weeks for the Phoenix Mercury. Also Natasha Mack. She's forward center on the Phoenix Mercury. It is her second season with the Mercury. She's out 2 to 3 weeks with a lower back injury. So Natasha Mack, she did play 40 games for the Mercury. Last season she started 11. She averaged 15 minutes per game and was even in the starting lineup for some of the preseason games. So on an already team that has the lack of depth and minimal experience, a lot of rookies, a lot of first and second year players on their team, this could be pretty impactful to them, although we did see them pull out a pretty big win over the Seattle Storm earlier this weekend. Also, Rae Burrell, she played 1 minute against the Golden State Valkyries, and she is now out 6 to 8 weeks, alongside Rickea Jackson, which we don't really know her timetable, but she did leave against the Minnesota Lynx on Sunday in the third quarter. So Lynn Roberts already had a pretty small rotation. I believe 8 people played in the game against the Golden State Valkyries, including Rae Burrell when she only played a minute. So again, short rotation. We'll see how this impacts them if Rickea Jackson is out for an extended period of time.
We have a new segment this week called Make or Miss. I'm going to start with Washington. Washington made it this week, and I want to highlight 2 of their rookies, Sonia Citron and Kiki Iriafen. They combined for their first 2 games. Kiki had 31 points and 18 rebounds. Sonia had 34 points in those 2 games. And then I want to talk about a vet, Brittany Sykes, who combined for 49 points and 12 assists. They beat Atlanta, which was a big upset in the beginning. I had Atlanta personally. And I mean, they just looked great doing it. They are now ranked 4th in the power rankings. I do think that's a little bit of an overreaction, but considering Aaliyah Edwards is still out, I think that this team has more to give. I think they're going to be looking better and better as the season goes on. Who do you have for your first make?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the New York Liberty. I said it last week. I'm going to continue on saying it. They are better than last year. They are my favorites to win again, so they would be repeat champions, which I know is very hard to do, but they are on top, in my opinion. Look, they played the Aces. I think whenever you see those 2 going head to head, it's always going to be a good matchup. A lot was going for New York, though. They're at home. It's ring ceremony night. They added Natasha Cloud. Maureen Johannes is back. Rebecca Gardner. Like, they have the pieces. But really what came to me when I was like, holy cow, is one of their lineups was Sably, Burke, Jonquel Jones, Sabrina Ionescu, and Natasha Cloud. I mean, that is just size right there. And then Stewie comes in for JJ. Maureen Johannes comes in for Sabrina. Like, you don't miss a beat. So I think that's something we talk about roster depth, and they have it. I think they're better than last year. I said that earlier. But even their bench, they outscored Vegas bench at halftime 14 to 2, which then takes me into a team that I thought missed this week, and that is the Las Vegas Aces. And I think I'm being a little bit harsh on that just because, yes, you have Jewel Loyd now. Kelsey Plum is now with the Sparks, but they're not the same player. It's going to take time for the team to mesh and come together. Asia Wilson did her part. She always shows up to play. She was just out of this world. And given the lineup that I just gave you, no baskets were easy. You're going against Sably, Kennedy Burke, Stewie, Jonquel Jones. I think she ended up with 31 points and nothing was easy for her. But Jewel Loyd, 2 for 10, 1 for 6. I believe she finished with 5 points, and it just wasn't enough. Even in the fourth quarter, I think the Aces were down by 3, and not looking at the score, it felt like the Liberty would have been up by more. A couple sidebars to that too. Tiffany Mitchell, she was their second highest in bench minutes behind Dana Evans. She was for 4, so she didn't contribute in the point total. And then also Crystal Bradford was suspended for 1 game, and then Megan Gustafson, which we know now is out indefinitely to an injury. So again, we talk about losing Alicia Clark and Tiffany Hayes, who was the 6th person of the year last year, and where are they going to get that contribution? And looking at their bench now, having those pieces out. So I don't think it's a fair assessment, but it's definitely something I'm going to be looking at moving forward.
Yeah, and I have to give you that props for the pick against the Aces. I wore this.
There you
I'm
go.
not a bandwagon fan. I actually am just a fan of all teams, but I had to pick it up when they won the
Love it.
championship. One of the original teams to the W's, so pretty cool. So we want to talk about this week's games. We want to highlight some of the bigger ones.
Yeah, so Indiana versus Atlanta. So again, as this video comes out on Thursday, we will know the results from Tuesday night's game when they play in Indiana. But again, I'm going to be looking at Indiana's ability to get out and run versus Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones. How the post players match up to that. Indiana, we've seen their defensive pressure increase compared to last year. So I'm interested to see how that will play out.
I am really going to be looking at that defensive matchup, Indiana's defense against Atlanta's offense. I really need more production from Ryan Howard. I think she was 3 for 12 in that game against Washington.
Yeah, one thing with that too is Atlanta scored 90 points and still lost. And now you have a back-to-back with Indiana, which I think could be challenging. The game plan cannot be to score more points than Indiana. On Saturday, we're looking at the Liberty in Indiana. What are you thinking, Jenny?
I am super excited about this game, and I actually think Indiana's going to win it. So these teams played against each other 4 times last season. The Liberty won the first 3 games. Indiana won the 4th. In that last game, they held Jonquel Jones to 6 points in 31 minutes of play. I think that is the key. I think that's the key. If you can hold Jonquel Jones to under 15 points, I think the Fever are going to win that game. Both teams played with over 17,000 fans at home in their opening game, so they're both used to the crowds. I think they both thrive on that, but obviously Fever are going to have the home team advantage there. Sabrina has to be more efficient, and she has to find her shot. She was 25% from the field against the Aces in 30 minutes of play, but I think ultimately Jonquel Jones is the key to winning this game.
Ooh, bold take.
Yeah.
That place is going to be rocking on Saturday. I will say, going back to Indiana versus Chicago, in the first quarter, Indiana scored 22 points. They missed about 7 layups or shots within 5 feet of their basket. You can't do that against the New York Liberty. So I think it's going to be super important is when they get out in transition, you have to finish those buckets. That could be the difference between a win and loss. I mean, you're leaving about 10 points or so on the board for that. Looking at the Liberty, though, I'm very interested to see how Natasha Cloud, Leonie Fiebisch defends Caitlin Clark and how that impacts the game. Caitlin Clark, I truly believe she makes people around her play better. So looking at the Liberty, as soon as Caitlin Clark steps on that court for the jump ball, Natasha Cloud or Leonie Fiebisch is going to be shadowing her. We saw that against the Aces. Natasha Cloud played like an all-star. She was definitely the X factor of the game. She contributed on the defensive end and the offensive end. So I'm very interested to see if you cut off the head of the snake, what does everyone else do? And the Fever have more pieces this year. So they don't need to heavily rely on, Caitlin getting them into their offense. And I will say too, Sophie Cunningham, if she is back by Saturday, which I believe she should be, that is also going to help them because there is the size that you have that she can now defend a Brianna Stewart or, a Leonie Fiebisch, who is a little bit of a taller guard. So I think that will help them. It's going to be a fantastic game. But give me the Liberty. Until you beat the Liberty. Until you beat the champs, give me the Liberty.
All right. I see it. I can see it going both ways, but I'm on that home team advantage. Let's move on to Sunday. We're looking at Chicago against the Sparks, LA Sparks. Who you got?
Yeah, so I said this earlier too. Just my concern with the LA Sparks is their bench. Kelsey Plum, when she broke the record on Friday night, she played all 40 minutes, and I remember thinking, wanting to know how she was going to play against Sunday against the Lynx. Is this sustainable? And she didn't play all 40 minutes, but I think that's something to look at. Is you have a short rotation. Now you have Chicago. Chicago did the offseason right. They brought in veteran guards, veteran role players, and I think we're going to see the impact of the game and really contribute. Give me Chicago.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I am going against you. For sure, I'm going Sparks. I definitely need Rakia to play. If Rakia doesn't play, that totally changes things. But I just think that their core players are going to take care of business there. I definitely don't think you can use the game against the Fever against the Sky. But I really love the core for the LA Sparks. I think Odyssey Sims can give them a lot more production than she gave. She was only 1 for 9 in that game against the Lynx. Azurá Stevens can give a lot more. Yeah, I just think that they're going to play a much better game against the Sky than they did against the Lynx. So give me the Sparks.
Ooh. And the last game we're looking at is the Las Vegas Aces when they visit the Seattle Storm on Sunday. I'll start this one. I think it's going to be a redemption game for Jewel Loyd. She didn't have a good outing against the New York Liberty. But look, she spent the first 9 years of her career in Seattle, won 2 championships, won Rookie of the Year out there in 2015. So I think it's going to be really important to get her going. But looking at Seattle's guards and who would defend her, I mean, you're looking at an Alicia Clark, a Gabby Williams, a Skylar Diggins-Smith. That's going to be difficult for anybody. But I think it's going to be a very good game. I was very disappointed in Seattle's defense against the Mercury. I thought that was going to be a much closer game, highly anticipated game for me, and I was disappointed. They had a bounce back against the Dallas Wings, but the Dallas Wings just aren't to the level that the Las Vegas Aces are. Give me the Aces.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. Give me the Aces. I think they're going to dominate that one. Okay, we have a new segment this week, Fade or Follow. I'm going to start out with Caitlin Clark has another triple-double this week. We are recording on Tuesday, so we're going Tuesday to Tuesday, and I am going to follow that. I think she does have another triple-double. She's playing Atlanta twice, and I think they're going to give one up to her. What do you think?
Ooh, this one's tough because if it was against the Liberty only, I would have definitely faded that. But as you said, Atlanta plays the Fever twice, but that's really hard to do. A triple-double, yeah, I'll fade that.
Okay. Okay. Do you think she doesn't hit it in rebounds or assists?
It's a good question when you put it that way. She will hit it in assists and points. So she would miss it in rebounds because this year with having so many options, I believe her assists are going to go up. It would not surprise me at all if she ended up averaging double-digit assists. And then just her ability, I think, to get to 10 points is pretty effortless. So I think it would have to be in rebounds. But even just watching her ability to go rebound the ball, when you put it that way, it's kind of like, ooh, maybe I should be following this, but I'm going to fade it.
Yeah, I think it's up to Ryan if she's going to make her miss those threes because those long distance rebounds really help her stats out.
And that could be a problem. Long shot, long rebound, and Indiana's off to the races. The next one we're looking at is Golden State Valkyries. Are they going to get their first win this week? So on Wednesday, they host the Washington Mystics. On Friday, they have a rematch with the Los Angeles Sparks, this time in LA. And then on Tuesday, they head out to New York when they are at the Liberty. Are they going to get their first win?
No, I am fading this. Of course, I've got the Sparks on my list of hot teams. No, I love the Valkyries. I wish them the best, but I'm fading. How about you?
I'm going to follow this. I'm a little nervous because the Mystics are, I think, playing better than people expected. 2-0 right now. I thought they should have lost to Atlanta. Again, a missed opportunity by the Dream, and now they face Indiana back-to-back. But the Mystics are playing really well. I think it's going to take some time for the Valkyries to mesh together. I do expect them to string some wins together. Against the Sparks, though, again, we've already talked about their depth, especially in their bench. If Rakia Jackson is out, I think it could help them, but we have seen Sarah Ashley Barker get a lot of playing time. She played 24 minutes in their last game against the Lynx. But I have faith in the Valkyries. I want to see them win, so I'm going to follow it. So that was our Fade or Follow segment, and that concludes our second episode of The W Show. If you are enjoying this as much as we are, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and comment down below. All right, we'll see you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday.